Here it is, the Baco Tunes podcast with Matt Munoz. Audio brought to you by Chain Cone Clark.
Greetings once again, Baco Tunes podcast listeners. Today's classic episode features a previously unreleased interview I had with radio legend Art Laboe, who passed away on October 7th at the age of 97. Art Laboe was a disc jockey from the golden era of rock and roll. He was a songwriter, record producer, and a radio station owner. He was also generally credited with coining the term oldies but goodies. But to most people, Art Laboe will be best remembered as the host of his long-running radio shows, The Art Laboe Connection and The Art Laboe Sunday Special, spinning oldies but goodies tunes, reading dedications sent in by everyone from neighborhood lovers to homies on lockdown, and at the end of every dedication, he would blow a kiss. This interview was recorded back in 2013 during my years at the Bakersfield, California newspaper, and I was previewing one of Art Laboe's annual Valentine's Love Jam shows rolling through town. These shows were huge and would feature classic soul and R&B acts singing love songs, and hosted by Art Laboe, who would also take a stroll across the front of the stage and pass out roses. Our interview talks a little bit about those shows, but it also features stories from the golden era of rock and roll in Los Angeles that he was a huge part of. You know, he was rubbing elbows with Richie Valens, Elvis Presley, and he also shares a really funny story about how he got the idea for those best-selling oldies music compilations your parents have. It's kind of naughty, but Art was really cool to share that story. You're going to like it. Art Laboe played a huge part in desegregating Los Angeles through his original live shows held throughout the city, and for over 80 years kept his messages of love and unity live on air for fans until his final show was produced on October 6th and broadcast on October 9th. So enjoy this trip down memory lane with our friend Art Laboe, now resting in eternal rhythm, here on the Baco Tunes podcast.
Hello?
Hello, Art?
Yes.
Hi, Art. This is Matt Munoz with the Bakersfield, Californian. How are you?
Fine. I was expecting your call.
I was telling Dale that I've previewed many of your shows when they come through Bakersfield, but I've never gotten to speak to you, so I'm really glad I finally get to speak to Art Laboe himself.
No problem. Take all the time you want.
You know, when I watch movies like La Bamba or those kind of flashback films of old-time rock and roll, and they always show the DJs, you know, putting on the records, and we romanticize about those times. You know, I wasn't born yet, but we romanticize those times. But, you know, how do you describe those time periods of, you know, classic rock and roll on radio?
Well, I think you know, the big change came in the 50s, about in the mid-50s. You know, when the music changed from you know, what the ballads were. You know, we had Frank Sinatra and Bing Crosby, Doris Day, those people, and then all of a sudden here came Elvis, here came Jerry Lee Lewis, here came Richie Valens, as you said, about 1957, and it was a, you know, tremendous change in the music and what the kids, young people wanted to hear. And it was like a tremendous tidal wave, no stopping it. It's sort of, and I happened to be right there changing my radio. I had been doing an all-night show, and the kids were bringing me those songs from the rhythm and blues, you know, like the Dominoes and Jackie Wilson, people like that. A little Walter, a lot of rhythm and blues stuff from the late 40s. They were bringing me this to play at the drive-in where I was doing this all-night show from a drive-in restaurant. And so when this 50s thing started, I decided to do a program in the afternoon at the same drive-in, Scrivener's, Scrivners.
Okay.
And so I went on the air in late 1955 and early 1956 from this drive-in, and it caught on like a forest fire. It was like this tidal wave of music, and there I was, you know, riding the surf right on top of it, because I was the first one to play all that music out here. And here was this program that nobody had heard anything like it. It was on in the afternoon from a drive-in, live, with kids, you know, giggling and laughing, honking their horns, going from car to car. I was talking to them on the air and letting them pick their favorite song.
Were you ever warned about, like, I don't think you should be getting into this, because I'm sure that, there was critics that they didn't like rock and roll and all that, but you kind of went against the grain. Did you have to deal with a lot of resistance?
Some from the establishment, but I tried to not to make it any worse than it was. They were afraid the music was going to corrupt the kids, but as looking at today's standards of music, I mean, it was pretty clean. If there isn't really a lot of bad stuff, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
But it was pretty wild for the time.
Can you remember the first, official rock and roll song that you remember spinning?
Well, if you want to call it rock and roll, yeah, because rhythm and blues was kind of merging there into rock and roll, but probably something like Johnny Ace, Pledging My Love.
Yeah.
I think that's around the early 50s.
Yeah.
That was before the real, what you call rock and roll, what we call rock and roll today probably really started with Jerry Lee Lewis and Elvis, people like that. That came about a year later, around 1956.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it came from rhythm and blues, Little Richard, people like that. Little Richard kind of put it succinctly when he said, rhythm and blues had a baby, and they called it rock and roll.
Yeah.
I always liked that phrase. Little Richard said that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, he's fantastic. I always love seeing him. He's just so much energy. Did you get to...
I think he's the real king of rock and roll.
Because yeah.
You really listen to his stuff. Even the Beatles copied him, and the Beatles were his backup band when he went to Germany way before they were big.
Wow. Now, did you get to meet a lot of those artists? Were they coming through the radio station, trying to push their records?
Well, they didn't come to the radio station. They came to the drive-in. My show was from a drive-in outside at a restaurant. So they would come there. The kids would park in their cars, and I had a long cord, and I would go from car to car and talk to people, and some of these people would come.
This is Art Laboe inviting you to bring back the 50s and 60s with us this Friday night at Art Laboe's Oldies But Goodies Club on the Sunset Strip, Hollywood. Earth Angel, Earth Angel. You'll see old friends and make new ones. Come stag, you must be 21 and over. Continuous dance and show with the Penguins doing Earth Angel, the Larks doing the Jerk, Big Joe Turner with Shake, Rattle, and Roll, to name a few. A total of 10 big rock and roll acts of the 50s. Dance contests with the Mashed Potatoes, the Jerk, the Twist, the Swim, with prizes for contestants. Yes, it's a ball of memories. This Friday and Saturday night. Parking next door at the Continental. It's 8433 Sunset Boulevard this Friday and Saturday night. Doors open 8 p.m. Candlelight, music, and memories of the 50s and 60s. Art Laboe saying, see you there, 8433 Sunset, Friday night.
Fast forward to more the present. The first time that I had ever heard your name, I was actually working at a music store when you had the Music Plus chain over here in Bakersfield, and I remember the Original Sounds label. That's kind of, I think, how the rest of the globe was probably introduced to Art Laboe. I mean, outside of the radio. I mean, because those Original Sounds, if you wanted to find, the oldies but goodies, you always went to those labels, and you waited till those Art Laboe collections came out. I remember people would come and, hey, the new Art Laboe came in, Art Laboe dedicated to you, etc. on down the line. But
sold a lot.
Oh yeah. So when with the success of the Original Sounds label and all the compilations, can you describe that phenomenon? I mean, because it's really taken off all over the world.
Well, that was a thing where I was playing these songs, and one night I was with a girlfriend. I wasn't married at the time, and I'm not now, but I was. I was about 30 years old, and I was with this girl, and we were playing music, and we were playing those little 45s, the ones that,
yeah.
You remember those?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
They had to have a little player, and one record would drop, and then another.
Yes.
So they would stick a lot. So here I was with this girl on the couch, and things are like the 50s, weren't quite as open as they are now, let's put it that way. So we're doing our thing there on the couch, and I'm trying to get somewhere underneath this sweater, and as I'm working on that, all of a sudden the music would stop. hit me in the ribs with an elbow and say, "Go fix the music, go fix the music." So I'd have to walk across the room and fix the things that was stuck. The record would be like on an angle, not dropping like it should.
Yeah.
So then we'd get going again and have to start over, you know what I mean? And by the time, a few more records had dropped, they'd run out of music. Now we're just getting somewhere, and then say, go fix the music. So all of a sudden, I said to her, "Damn it, I wish they were on an LP." And then, like lightning flashed in my mind that all these records that was her record player, maybe they could be on an album. And when I left her house that night, I guess it was around midnight, I went back to the radio studio and I put a bunch of them in a row on a tape and dubbed them from the records to the tape and listened to it. And I thought, well, wow, this is something, And I had already done a couple of singles, Teen Beat and Bongo Rock. I'd produced a couple of records. Yeah. And I'm also an engineer, studio engineer, and a radio engineer, so I knew how to do it. So I thought, well, maybe I can get permission from these record companies to put them all on one record, and I was able to do that. And we paid them for it, and they said, well, we're not gonna give you rights to make records. That's ours. I said, no, this is not going to be a regular single. It will be an album. We'll pay you for it. And I got a couple of key songs, Earth Angel and In the Still of the Night and Let the Good Times Roll. Once I got those, but the majors would never lease me any of their records, but the independents did. And the independents had all the big rock and roll songs. So that's how Original Sound started. I already had a couple of singles in 1959. So the first Oldies but Goodies album came out in 1959.
Oh wow! Now the term oldies but goodies, you've been credited with coining that phrase.
Yeah, well, that happened at the drive-in before the record company started. I used to pass out a list of songs so the kids could pick a song to dedicate, the ones that we had, at the studio, which was really, at that time, I wasn't playing oldies. I was playing the current hits of the day, like top 40, top 20. But people started asking me for things like Johnny Ace, Louis Jordan, the Dominoes, Little Walter, even Ray Charles back then. And so at the bottom of the list where they could pick their music, I put 4 or 5 what I called, oldies. And I thought, well, they're old, but they're good. So I called them oldies but goodies. And then next thing I knew, at the drive-in, everybody started asking for the oldies but goodies. Now this happened before I made the first album,
Uh-huh.
And then when I was at this girl's house and this occurred, right away it rang a bell because everybody at the drive-in were asking for the old ones.
Yeah.
So that's how Original Sound became a big record company. Before, I just had a couple of singles, out there, and they did well.
It's Original Sounds and perfect for scoring, for getting to third base.
Yeah, I named it Original Sound. They were the original sounds of the oldies,
Yeah, so many artists would be forgotten without getting connected with you, or you playing their records, put them on the compilations. How often do you get calls from those artists that may have been kind of forgotten, maybe a one-hit wonder or something? How often are people reaching out to you?
Well, not so many of the one-hit wonders, although they do, but like for instance, Cleve Duncan from the Penguins. I kept in touch with him. As a matter of fact, he was receiving royalties from us, so we were in contact with him up until when he died, which was last year actually. And then besides him, Rosie in the Originals, I keep in touch with her. She lives in New Mexico. I talked to her on her birthday, put her on the air. And so I do maintain some contact with those that are still alive. So many of them passed on,
Yeah, I mean, did you keep in touch with them? For probably most of their careers, or was it just?
Well, only when they would, call, or I would use them at a concert in the old days, in the 50s and 60s. we did a lot of oldie but goodie concerts.
Yeah.
And they would come and appear, like Rosie and the Penguins and Coasters and all those people.
Yeah.
I started doing concerts in the late 50s, and we came pretty close because we'd see each other and travel to some city, San Diego or Riverside or somewhere. We'd all travel on a bus, you know.
Yeah. Oh, now
but as the years went by, I'd lose track of them more and more. They'd move to other cities and stuff, but it's still up until just recently. They would come by the office or something.
Oh, that's great.
That's my place on Sunset, where my offices are.
Thank you so much for that. You know, you're an icon with Latinos. I mean,
yes,
Central Valley. I mean, it's Art Laboe on Sunday, man.
Well, I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, you know, how does it feel to be embraced? I had the same conversation with the guys from Zap. I said, growing up, the Zap albums came out. I go, popping and locking in the barrio here in Bakersfield, and growing up in high school. I mean, it was like you listen to a lot of the soul music, and then of course, when your show started playing here in Bakersfield on Sunday nights, you become pretty much an honorary Chicano.
I think that's true.
Yes. No,
and I like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Do a lot of stuff for the community. We've given away 8 or 10 scholarships a year since 1980.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And the foundation, and we take care of most of the East LA schools. Like Roosevelt and Lincoln and Garfield, and those cities. Not so much in Bakersfield so far, but we do some in Fresno and Arizona.
Oh, that's great.
That's something to consider. There's so many,
Yeah, absolutely. It's a Super Love Jam. It's Valentine's. It's coming up on Valentine's. It's got to be a busy time for you with music because there's so many great soul love songs. But what to you makes the ideal love jam?
Well, they like the ballads, They like the love ballads. They like La La Means I Love You, and they like some of the stuff more recent. I mean, the audience that comes to the shows, I don't know how many you've been to, but we'll certainly get you some tickets to this one.
Are there any artists out there currently that match up to those classic soul artists from the 60s and 70s?
Oh yeah, there's artists like that do. I think Denise Williams for one, does Silly, and Let's Hear for the Boy, and Gonna Take a Miracle. Zap, of course. I mean, Zap, a lot of these artists, oldies but goodies don't have to be in the 50s. You got to remember that when oldies but goodies started in 1959, songs were only 5 or 6 years old. Yeah. You got to remember that in a teenager's life, that their life doesn't start when they're 1 year old. Their whole social life starts in junior high school, and so songs that are 5 years old to somebody that's 18 is a long time ago. It's the same today. A lot of the stuff that, like Akon's been making songs for 12 years,
Yeah.
And so that's a long time ago. If you come to our shows, you'll see that the audience is all ages, but it goes anywhere from, 17 and 18 all the way up to 50.
Uh-huh.
I think the key age that most people are around, 25 to 40.
Yeah.
But they like Alicia Keys too. Of course, we can't get Alicia Keys, but I play her stuff and play stuff that if it fits, I go by sound, more so than years. But I play everything from the 50s all the way up to the present.
You're mentioned along the line, with that the pantheon of those radio greats, the classic radio DJs, Wolfman Jack, Casey Kasem, Huggy Bear, yet you have managed
Huggy Boy, actually.
I'm sorry, Huggy. I'm sorry, I was thinking of Starsky and Hutch. Huggy Boy, sorry about that.
Yeah, Huggy Boy, yeah.
You've managed to have I think the most longevity because you're still out there busy. You're doing these shows. A lot of those, some of the guys that were out there doing it alongside you, or they've since passed or they've retired, but you've just kept on going. What keeps you going?
Well, It's just the energy, and I don't have to do it, but it's just something I've always loved doing. I've loved radio since I started in radio. I had my first job at 18, and I started being interested in radio when I was 8. So radio was only 10 years old then. The whole radio. When I got interested in radio, there was no such thing even as FM. There was only AM radio. There was no FM. There was no television. There certainly weren't any computers or iPhones. So, as a young boy, the only two types of entertainment that were there were radio, which was very big, and movies. That's it. So my interest went to radio, and we got our first radio. We were kind of a poor family, so we got this little radio you could hold. And the thing, we plugged it in and started talking, and I said to my mom, that box is talking. And I got completely, mesmerized, obsessed with this thing. And I used to just sit with my hands folded in front of it, my nose about a foot from the speaker, and staring into it while it went on and on and on. And she couldn't tear me away from it. She used to say, "Why don't you go out and play a little?" I said, No, I want to listen to this. I listened to everything on the radio, soap operas and announcers of all different kinds.
Yeah.
Just got call it obsessed with this, and that's been that way. And I still feel pretty good when I go out there and push that switch, and I'm on the air talking to people live, and it's exciting.
Yeah. When you are you in tune with all the the latest gadgets, all the Apple stuff, and all the?
Oh yeah, I've got an iPhone.
How does it feel to because you're talking about the talking box compared to now? Did you ever think that we would get to this point?
No, I never imagined that. I mean, even we used to in the comics. Dick Tracy used to have a. You probably don't even know who Dick Tracy is.
Oh, the radio watch.
Yeah, the radio watch. And I thought, oh God, that'll never happen. But we almost have it now.
That's true.
It's in your pocket. I mean, telephone's in your pocket. It's exciting, but you kind of get used to it. You get used to it. I mean, there was so many things back in the day. Everything was pretty simple.
Yeah.
Even television, wasn't there. Radio was the big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when they first started to be able to play records in your car. They had those guy named Madman Muntz made a record player that was kind of suspended, and you could put it in your glove compartment, attach it to your radio, it would play 45.
Oh, that's right.
You went over a bump though that didn't work too good.
I think I saw that on one of the KCT, because he even made his own car, didn't he? I think he.
Well, later he did.
Yeah.
Cartridges, 4 tracks.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
We had our albums on those 4 tracks too.
Wow.
The oldies but goodies. Yeah, that was very big for me. And finally, that business got so big that radio became secondary for a few years, although I stayed on radio through those years, too.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you. Oh, and one last one. Are you going to be, one of your signature things on your show is to be blowing out kisses and dedications. Are you going to be doing a lot of that at the Super Love Jam?
At the stage?
Yeah.
Well, I do some when the people send them up. Yeah, they do.
Excellent. That's great.
Yeah, I do, just sometime between acts when we're killing time.
That's cool.
You sure you got everything you want?
Yeah, I got everything here, and
I usually am pretty good on interviews because I answer a short question, you get a long answer.
Oh, well, hey, I appreciate it, but there's sometimes when I'm trying to do an interview and I don't have anything, and I'm just enjoying the stories. I mean, I could probably sit here and keep you on the phone for about 3 hours, and you'd probably get tired of talking to me because I love this type of history.
I told you I had plenty of time today. One thing about that is like I had a call. Somebody wanted to hear an Elvis song, and they wanted to know if I'd ever met Elvis, and I said yes, I had. Spent some time with him on probably 6 or 8 occasions. We weren't real close friends because he was never around, but yes, I did know him, and the person I was talking to on the air said, "Boy, there aren't many people around that today that could say they sat around and talked to Elvis." I said, "Well, that's a great thing to be able to do that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Think about that. And some of the artists that have, he's not forgotten, but certain a lot of others are.
Yeah. Who are some of the artists that really, had a big impact on you? That of course, talking about Elvis, but was Elvis one of those people that when you say that you could just remember that had a big impact on you, or there's any other artists?
He had a big impact on the music business.
Yeah.
I mean, he really changed the music because he got the white people to like rock and roll.
Yeah.
And they were liking it anyway for a while, before that happened. But that really shifted the whole music business from, the kids, that was their music from there on.
Yeah.
And I think he was the key, although he wasn't the first by a long shot.
Yeah.
When he went to Sun Records, I mean, Carl Perkins that did Blue Suede Shoes was already a big artist, and Johnny Cash and all those people were already established there where he was trying to break in.
Yeah. What about were there any other artists that you remember hanging out with?
Yeah, a lot of there's West Coast artists, and the Coasters were from here, and that's why they call them the Coasters.
Yeah.
They were the Robins, and they changed their name to the Coasters. And then you have Bobby Day. Bobby Day did Rock and Robin and some other things. He's from here. Big J McNeely. Let's see who else.
Were those guys to you were just guys from around the way, guys and gals from around the way? I mean, when we look back,
when they started, but some of them became pretty big, like Sam Cooke, and Richie Valens, of course. I mean, I was one of the few people that really knew Richie because he wasn't around very long. He was only in the music business like a year and a half. But he did his first shows with me at El Monte. Yeah,
the Memories of El Monte compilation. I actually have that.
I knew his mother and his brother. Her mother knew me well when they had that movie La Bamba.
Yeah.
I went to the preview, and his mother saw me come in. She told his sister, or I think it was his sister sitting next to her. She says, "Get up! There's Art Laboe. I want him to sit next to me."
That's
Richie's mom, Connie.
Oh, that's great.
Venezuela. And I'll tell you one quick story for you. It's about Richie. One night at El Monte, I did his first shows with me out there. When he hadn't done any shows yet, he had records, but they were just his first records were starting to happen, like La Bamba and Donna. And I knew Donna Ludwig. That was his girlfriend that he wrote the song for. She's still around. And anyway, this one night, Richie was doing his show with me, and he was starting to gain a lot of popularity around here because I was playing his records, very strong. And I liked his stuff. And he liked me. We were friends. And so one night he's at El Monte with me, and we're having him on the show. And there's only one phone at El Monte. It was down in the box office, way far away from the stage. Somebody came backstage and said, "Richie's mother's on the phone. She says it's real urgent that she talk to you." I said, "Oh, okay." So I walked, it's a long ways, all the way down a couple of flights of stairs and all the way across the main place, all the way out to the front where the box office was. I pick up the phone. It's Connie. I said, "Hey, Connie, what's up?" I said, "Richie's doing fine." She says, I know. She says, "You have to give him a message." I said, "Okay, what is it?" She says, "Tell him not to chase those young girls after the show." I says, "Okay, I'll tell him. I can't promise." So I go and I find Richie, and I says, "Richie, your mom called out. I want to go all the way down to the box office to talk to her. What'd she want?" I says, "She told me to tell you not to chase those young girls after the show." Man, did he crack up. He threw his head back and started laughing as hard as he could. I says, "Well, I told her I wouldn't promise." He got a big kick out of it.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is Art Laboe. I'm the guy you find here at night from 7 to midnight with all your requests and dedications and old school. So I'll see you tonight, too. But right now, I'm bringing you the old school jam of the day, A Love Bazaar by Sheila E. The song was performed in the film Crush Groove, in which Sheila E. had a major supporting role. Here's A Love Bazaar from Sheila E. That's your old school jam of the day.
Oh, wow, That's fantastic. That's the stuff I love to hear. That's just, it's amazing. I bet you have a
I'm writing a book. I'm in the process.
That's great.
I haven't got it. It's on the back burner. I've been writing it for, since 1970 something. But it's the manuscript's there. We just got to edit it down now. It's got 500 pages. I got to get it down to about 300 with pictures and everything.
Or just do volume 2.
That story will be in there and a few others.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Art. I appreciate you being so candid and sharing so much great information. It's an honor to speak to you. You're such a big part of the music community, international music community. I mean, I'm glad you're doing these shows too, because these Super Love Jams are just phenomenal. I mean, to remind everybody of these great songs.
I enjoy it. When you come to the concert, you'll see there's a lot of love going across those lights both ways.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They love me and I love them, and I don't let it go to my head. I just try to be the same guy I was all the way along, and that's the way to be.
Okay.
All right, Matt. Nice to meet you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Art.
Sure, you're welcome.
You have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. I hate to leave you. I really must say, oh, good night, sweetheart. Good night.
The Baco Tunes podcast with Matt Munoz. New episodes every week. And for the latest, be sure to follow us at Baco Tunes on Instagram and Twitter. That's BAKOTUNES. And be sure to like us, rate us, comment at us, and don't forget to subscribe. We'll be back next time.
Well, I got a couple of dedications from some of our regulars here. Artie Boy, this is from Shy Boy, says, I hope you have a good night, and I love you. And another one of our regulars checked in. Hello, Emma. Where you been? I haven't heard from you for a few days. And we got your favorite song here by the Manhattans. They're going to be part of our big show a week from Saturday, September 8th. And they'll be doing this song, the one that Emma likes so much, called Kiss and Say Goodbye.